Nigeria has taken another IMF loan, this time for $2.5 billion, bringing Nigeria's total debt obligations to over $110 billion. I don't like this deal at all for Nigeria, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say this is more of an economic hitman type move, and I'm going to explain why. The terms of this IMF loan may seem fair at first glance. It's a $2.5 billion loan at 1% interest rate that will be paid off over 40 years, with no payment due for over 10 years. But here's the problem. The loan needs to be paid back in Western currencies, and the naira is losing significant value every year, meaning this loan is going to end up costing tens of billions of dollars to Nigeria within a decade. From an economic sense, the effective interest rate would be 1% plus the depreciation of the naira relative to the US dollar. In the past year, the naira depreciated 50%, meaning the interest rate would be 51% if the naira depreciation continues. This is an economy-destroying debt obligation, of course because payments don't start until 2034, when all the current politicians will be long gone when the loan starts to come due. I can understand why this was a tempting loan to take. But let's say the naira depreciation is only 10% per year, which is very generous. Even in this best-case scenario, that means by 2034, the principal in this loan will effectively grow from $2.5 billion to $7 billion. The payments will then be the equivalent of $1 billion a year and continue for 30 years. So for $2.5 billion today, Nigeria is agreeing to pay the Western banks $30 billion under a 10% inflation rate. But even the loan itself comes with other concessions that should worry Nigerians. Nigeria will have to keep a large portion of this money as foreign reserves, so they can't even spend much of it. They also need to end subsidies on oil, which will hurt their economy, and they will need to enact reforms which will make it easier for Western banks to compete with the domestic Nigerian banks. I understand that in many ways the current administration inherited these problems. However, the terms of this IMF loan will contribute to long-term insolvency. Nigeria has far too many assets, both in raw resources and a talented labor pool, to be in this debt spiral. And the longer they stay reliant on Western banks, the longer Nigeria will operate below their economic potential. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Nigeria should have taken this loan and agreed to the reforms that came along with it? Or should Nigeria have taken the more difficult path of breaking away from IMF loans?